Welcome to another episode of our SaaS Stories podcast. I'm your host, Ash, and this is a show where I interview proven founders and industry experts who share their stories, strategies, and insights to help us build, launch, and grow your SaaS business. In this episode, I talked to Jimmy, the founder and CEO of Carback Fitch, a UK-based company that has been implementing Microsoft Dynamics 365 for finance and operations for over 25 years. With a passion for entrepreneurship and optimizing business processes, Jimmy recognized the need for a software solution to engage and manage leads effectively. This led to the creation of JeffreyAI, a SaaS-based startup that automates sales and marketing processes with AI assistance. In just 18 months, JeffreyAI has generated global interest, serving over 200 companies worldwide, with a team of 15 permanent staff members and an agile crew. JeffreyAI is revolutionizing the sales landscape, bridging the gap between companies with the right value proposition and ensuring sales fairness. So, I hope you enjoy it. Okay, Jimmy, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, As.
Great. Do you have a favorite quote, something that inspires or motivates you that you can share with us?
I do. For me, it is keep failing till you succeed. And I've heard many variations of this. But however, for me, it's the pinnacle of how we work. We test, we analyze, we check our results. And in a high percentage of the times, we have a failed output, and then we repeat the process. And it's a very hard job. Keeps people on their toes, trying to maximize the likelihood of our success. But that's how that's what motivates us. That's our favorite quote.
Indeed. I totally agree with you on this one. The founder's job is not easy. It looks flashy and, nowadays in fashion, but it takes a lot of hard work and, you have to compromise a lot of your family time, your precious time with your friends. Great. So tell us about JeffreyAI. What does the product do? Who's it for? And what's the main problem you're helping to solve?
So as a company, we call Carbon and Finish, and we are a Microsoft partner. We've been in the market for 16 years now. And as part of that, we've been developing a number of software products throughout those years. We've taken on apprentices, given them small projects to work on. And at some point, we identified that we had some products before Teams was there, a collaboration platform that started to get a lot of traction and ended up with a fairly large sales team. However, they started to drop leads left, right, center. And I didn't have a platform that easily could keep engaging those leads and keep reminding the sales staff to pick them up. And that was the first step of what became JeffreyAI. So we decided to build our own platform that would help businesses to engage leads and help proactively tell the sales staff, you need to, give this lead a call or send him an email. And that's what we have today, a system that helps you automatically engage with your leads, respond to inbound inquiries, manage your pipeline, and so forth. A lot of new stuff and interesting things that help you just sell more with a platform that can support you. So that's the background. That's how we started with JeffreyAI. So it's kind of there to take envision your top salesperson in your business. If you already have a salesperson, map his process into Jeffrey, and then let the other salespeople who join your business repeat that process with automation and AI at the back to support them.
Really, that's very interesting. The reason I was personally very interested in this interview is because, I personally use the HubSpot CRM to get the leads and get all these interview process scheduled and everything. And I'm new to CRM world. I've never used it before. It's just like, learning on internet and gaining more knowledge about how to use them, how you can create more templates, how you can, create more snippets to hold up together and all. So what is the USP of Jeffrey AI which makes it stand out and differentiate it from other CRM systems?
Well, so I think there's a couple of elements that's really critical for a micro or small business. One thing is it has to be easy enough. It has to be easy enough to get started. It has to be easy enough to use it, and it has to be cheap enough long term. So when you grow your business, it doesn't mean that you start to spend a lot more money on the system that you've invested your time and trained your staff in. And what we see in a lot of the systems that we're competing with is there's a very low entry barrier. Businesses start to invest their time, train their staff, and build up their data in those systems. But as you grow, the cost increases quadruple for the business. And I think that's not reasonable, because I think you as a business have invested a lot of time and trained your staff. I don't think it's reasonable that suddenly your cost should go up because you are a bit successful. So what we do is that we just simplify the pricing. We don't increase our pricing because you grow your business. So there's a few things in that we make a very simple approach for small businesses. And at the same time, we offer similar features as you get when you pay a lot of money. So we're very, very price competitive. And what I hear from some of the businesses that are moving away from the likes of HubSpot is that it can do the same thing. It's easy. I can access it from my mobile phone or anywhere on the web. And once I have put in my sales engagement and started to map out processes, then that's all I need to do. I have a system that can help sell for me. And I think that's the main key difference, which is that we don't make it over complex. One of micro, you need to have it simple.
Great. So basically, you make it so simple for the businesses that they don't even need to understand how CRM works. It's on the face when they log in, and then you just start working.
Exactly, yeah. So it takes you around 15 minutes to get started. You create an account. It'll take you a minute to create an account. You get 30 days free trial to test it out. You then load in your contacts. You can either manually create them or load in your contacts, and your engagement takes around 5 to 10 minutes to set up. Of course, a simplified engagement, or you can use one of the pre-built templates. And then the only step left is just to put in the content of what you want these steps to do for you. If it's social media engagements, if it's sending out a newsletter, or if it's just an ordinary email. And you can do that very quickly using a template. So up and running within 15 minutes. And that's simple. That means that a micro business that's a one-man band, a two-man band, can focus on doing that job rather than trying to learn and manage a new system.
Okay, great. So do you have a freemium model, or you operate straight away from a base pricing model?
So we started with a freemium model simply to get feedback from businesses. What is it that you want? What is it that will make your business successful? And we stopped the freemium model end of last year, and then moved into a 30-day free trial period. So we've received a lot of feedback. We've had several hundred companies around the world who've been trying and tested JeffreyAI for their business and have fed back to us what is it that matters to us. And I think, as with anything, when you trial and error, you identify things you didn't know in advance would actually add value to a business. So what we can see is a micro business. A simple thing that adds value to them is a contact list. A list where you can call your customer or your lead from the platform. Or you can send all your leads or customers an email in one simple process. So these are values that we didn't really think added a lot of value, because that kind of felt like you have your mobile phone and then that's what you use. But imagine you have a person in your office that receives an inbound call. It's a customer who wants to buy from you. The next step is that you try to engage the person who can close that deal, and they might be busy. So what you do instead is you add the contact into JeffreyAI, and the contact will then be you'll be able to call that person directly from JeffreyAI, and JeffreyAI will notify you there's now some new business there for you to pick up on as soon as you're ready. So that means you efficiently can now share information within your team, and much easier follow up on how you close your business and get new business.
Perfect. That sounds really amazing. I mean, I've always thought that if there is something which automates things which I'm doing manually on a daily basis, that will be amazing. And that's what exactly you're explaining me here. So it's like, wow, I would love to try that. Great. How did you come up with the name? What is this JeffreyAI stands for?
Well, it started in 2017, where we identified we needed someone to pick up this the leads that we were dropping left, right, center, and in UK, you kind of envision a Jeffrey to be a bottler, someone that kind of you can support, lead up against, that helps you, just get the extra things done when you're a busy person. So Jeffrey is kind of linking to the bottler type of entity. And the AI is that we want the bottler to be artificial intelligence controlled. So automating where possible. So that's how JeffreyAI, the name was born. And I think our first prototype was just a face that was either sleeping or awake when it was working or not working. And obviously that's moved a lot since then. So I think that's been an interesting journey from where we were to where we are today. But it works for us, and it works for a lot of other businesses.
Perfect. That's good. Okay, so can you give us a sense of the size of the business? Where are you in terms of revenue, number of customers, size of the team?
Yes. So today we are 15 permanent staff. And we're looking to grow quite a lot over the next year. And then we have 10 contractors that we work with based on the projects that comes in. So a lot of the work we get, it's very project-based. And then we resource it based on projects. So we usually have, 2 or 3 projects going on at any time. And then we'll have our JeffreyAI business, which is, small businesses, micro businesses that are looking to help sell more and also be able to compete with those that have big marketing budgets, big sales teams. So we're starting to see a lot of growth within those space. Recently, we had one of the largest networking organizations in the world with 250,000 members signing up to our platform to help engage their members. So that's a big, a big positive thing that happens, that even though we are a fairly small business, we do see very, very big organizations have an interest in what we're doing.
Indeed, definitely, because everybody needs to manage their leads and sales process, so that's a must. Great. Okay, so when you had that epiphany, did you look into the market where there was other products? What was going on at that time, and what did you see from the research that encouraged you to go ahead with JeffreyAI?
Yeah, so our CRM system has been there for many years, and that's okay. I think the challenge was that CRM system means that you need to have salespeople that are administratively updating the CRM system with the correct data and inquiring the CRM system to get the right data out so they know what to do. And of course, you have your dashboards, etc. But that's it. So I looked in the market to find out, is there anything that can automatically engage my leads and my customers? I did find an American company back in 2017. However, they were not ready for the UK market when I was looking, and I couldn't find anything else that could do the automation part of it. So that was the reason why we decided, well, let's do this ourselves. Let's start and see how far we can take it. And we did a prototype, and then we started to talk to a lot of other business owners. to get their reaction to what they felt and what they thought a product like this could do for them. And there was a lot of positive response to that. And that kind of made me feel, well, this sounds right. It seems like there is a need for this kind of sales automation engagement approach that keeps engaging your customers and your leads. So we threw everything else that we were doing away and focused on building JeffreyAI. So yeah, that's been going on for six years now.
Perfect. Amazing. And obviously you looked into the market and you couldn't find automation bait. So you thought that, this is the niche which you can target, which not just solves the primary issue, which is, engaging with your customers with a CRM, but also automates things so that it makes the businesses like easier. So that's really good. So
yeah, I think just adding to that, there's many different variations of sales engagement products today. And when I look, there's probably hundreds of them out there that mention in one way or another that they can do some sales engagement. But based on MarketWatch, where we are in the top 20 of key players globally in this market, and as I said, our ambition is to make it simple, easy, efficient, and cost-effective.
Yeah, great. And so tell me more about your team. Who is there? Like, are you the single founder and then you hired people to get more skills and more help? Or you have a co-founder? How does it structured?
I set up the business back 15, 16 years ago now, and I made my wife a 50% shareholder. And initially, I was the only one working in the business, and then 9 months later, I invited my wife to join me to work in the business. So that's how we kind of founded business. So we're both 50% shareholder. End of the day, she's the boss.
Definitely.
I just do my very best to work as hard as I can and take the right decisions. But end of the day, she pulls the strings. And then since then we have been growing organically. So it's very much been taking it slowly and not going too fast, making sure that we're agile enough. So we've self-funded everything based on the business that we have won over the years. Mm-hmm. And with that money, we've then reinvested it into research and development, building new technologies, and then slowly from that, just keep growing. So it's taken a long time. And some people could say maybe it's too long, but I think that has put the foundation in our business that's very, very solid. And we've ensured that we've been profitable all the years. So that's been a very positive thing that we've experienced. And obviously we're seeing growth numbers now that are the highest we've ever seen. So we're going into record revenue, record profits, with growth numbers of more than 200%. And it looks very promising with the things we're doing due to JeffreyAI.
Great. Perfect. So you mentioned that you invested everything. So is that like purely bootstrap product then? You haven't got any investment till date from anyone?
No, we bootstrap all the way. We are now obviously considering what we can do to get investment, because end of the day, at some point, we have to recognize that if we move too slowly forward, we will be overtaken by other competitors. And there's a limit to how slow we can go. So we are looking into attracting investment to take the leap into the next level of the growth for the business. But I think the most important part is that we've proven that we can generate revenue. We've proven that we can generate profit, and we've proven that we have a product that people want to buy. And that was my main objective, to get to that point in time where I can prove to someone who's willing to invest that I can provide them a return for their investment. So that's why we now joined the program, the Barclays program that we just met at.
Indeed. Perfect. Great stuff. Have you ever tried, I know that you're a little bit further away from London, but have you tried Entrepreneur First or something like HSBC startup programs?
Well, I've tried a few different programs. I was part of the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program. And that's been extremely helpful because that's given me a lot of tools to take the right decisions. It's giving me the right tools to understand what is it that I'm selling and how can I value that. And at the same time, it's giving me a very large network with other business owners or CXOs, both competitors as well as potential customers and suppliers. So that's been extremely helpful. And I can only recommend any business owners who is going through the same stages of growing up their business to apply for that program. That's been brilliant. Then we've also gone through the Microsoft Startup Founders program. And what I really liked about that is that they give the technology for you to build your solution. So it's a little bit the stage before the Goldman Sachs program. It's why they allow you to get free credits for your SaaS application on their Azure platform. They provide technical assistance and a mentor to help you take the right decision. And it kind of just gives you a boost to help you get started with your business. So that's extremely helpful as well. And then we been part of some growth programs that was government funded. So it's kind of given us some ideas. We've had an IP audit review just to check, is there anything in there we need to protect? Been through pitch deck review and presentation. So there's a few government programs that help you sponsor these early stage reviews so you can protect the interest that you have in your business and try to solidify your foundation. So when you move forward from there, it's solid structure.
Perfect. Okay, great. So let's take a one step back and talk more about when you started putting the word out about this new SaaS platform. Obviously, you already knew that there are competitors. What strategies you used to essentially bring leads in? For example, have you done paid advertisement? Have you done SEO? What sort of strategies did you use to get the early freemium customers?
Again, it's been very much trial and error for that whole process. But I think we started with growth hacking. So what we did is that we hired an external consultant that was an expert in growth hacking. And that was our initial approach. That was part of our launch strategy. And we did have 150 companies pre-signed up to the launch of JeffreyAI. So that was a positive experience. But however, since that initial stage, we've had to identify how do we then show the world that there's a product called JeffreyAI. And I think you have two options really. Either you have a very, very big marketing budget that you can spend on all sort of advertising, or you go out there and start to talk to people and meet people. And then you hope that at some point there is the word of mouth type of spreading that your product is actually adding value. So that was my focus, trying to get to a point where the word of mouth was expanding the message to the market out there. So we engaged with a lot of networking groups. So chambers of commerce, FSB, other different type of networks, founders programs, trying to get us visible as much as possible without having to pay a lot of money for it. Obviously, we still have to pay our time. But I think that's absolutely fine because you end up building a network that you can lean up against in the future. And I think that have helped us a lot. A lot of the business we received early came from networking. Today, it's transforming a lot more into the sales activities and the sales channels we're building up. And obviously we're exploring a number of different sales channels as we're growing. So it's a combination of digital marketing. It's a combination of cold calling, so companies that does that, LinkedIn campaigns. So we're kind of expanding as we grow, because it allows us to invest more of the revenue we get from the business into building those channels up. And I think that's really critical as a business, that you cannot depend on only one sales channel. You have to build it up.
Definitely. Thanks. I want to uncover the bit which you mentioned that initially, because most of the listeners of our podcast, they are new founders or entrepreneurs who are trying to, grow their businesses from scratch. And I think they would be interested in knowing, like, what kind of growth hacking strategies your consultant or your growth hacker actually implemented on ground to get you these 150 or something like that number of companies onboarded before pre-launch. That would be really good to know.
Yeah, so our approach to that was obviously having a message, a value-bringing message that kind of made it interesting enough for a business to be part of the launch. So that was the first part, having some landing pages that'll bring that message. So when you came to the landing page, it added a lot of value. So, click a button, put in your email address. So it was easy enough to sign up as well. And then that provided us all the information we needed for you as a startup company. We had some tools at the back that then would analyze where did you come from, which country, if we could identify the company that you came from, we would then pull up that information as well. And then we would send out thousands of emails to companies explaining them about our launch. And that data, some of it we had ourselves, some of it we had to go to markets to procure. But that was the way that we did it. So we didn't have to pay a lot for it. I think creating the landing pages was a few £100. And then sending out the email to I think it was 5,000 emails. It wasn't that costly to get it up all and running, but it had big impact, because being able to show that you have pre-interest before you launch means something. It means that you're doing something that can make a difference for the business that's now spending their time to take a look at what you got. And I think that's really, really important, because I know it's very, very difficult for a small business to launch. But if you can get that pre-initial interest, you can work that interest for as long as it takes. So it might be that they just have an initial interest, but you can keep emailing them once a year and talk about what you've done to increase the value that your product can offer them as a business.
Great insight. Great. So basically, you hacked into different kind of growth strategies. You started putting in the landing page, went out with all the emails you had harvested since last 25, 15 years, and then you reached out to them. Plus, you also reached out to other people who might be suitable, like, ideal customer profile for your business. And then ultimately, you ended up having, so many interests from different companies, which help you understand, which gives you a sense of product market fit, because now you're thinking, okay, we are going in the right direction. We know what we're doing. So let's launch it and then see what's the feedback. That's important. That's a good way to go forward for a software or for a SaaS product, if you want to see if it's going to work or not. Good strategy. So tell me more about how long did it take to build the first version of the product? Because, a lot of founders, they keep working on the first version and MVP for like 3 months, 6 months, a year, and then they still don't have it because they want to make it perfect. And what was your mindset before launching it? Like, did you see it like, okay, this is fairly developed, bug-free, or do you say, oh no, this is the right time, we don't care about how many bugs it has, just launch?
I'm the person who wants to get it out as soon as possible. And I want to make it clear to the people who is testing it out that this is a a beta version, it is with the aim of them being able to feedback what's relevant for them if they were to use this product in the future. So I think within 6 months of the first prototype had been built, we asked businesses if they were interested in testing it. The UI was looking awful. It was a Windows application, a few tab pages, and then, all the functionality sitting behind that. So it wasn't very nice and user-friendly as such. But the main point was, let's get feedback on it. So that was my approach. We then kept updating the product throughout that whole journey. Some businesses came in a little bit too early with too high expectations of what the product could do for them, and dropped out. So we've had a few of those. But we've also had companies that stuck with us throughout that whole process. And they have been part of building up the product based on the feedback. And I think that's been really positive. So for me, my advice is get it out there as soon as possible. Obviously, try to make it look as nice and make it work as good as possible. So make sure you have a release process and testing strategy in place that kind of eliminates too many issues. But even that has been a learning process for us to make sure our release process across countries and different development teams are efficient. So that part is a learning process as well. But, we learned a lot, but we engage customers or potential customers as quickly as possible. I don't think waiting until you have a perfect product is a good idea. I think that's too costly. And I think you end up building something where the value is really a fit for the user that you expect.
To the end customer. Yeah. So on top of your head, roughly how long it was 3 months or less than 3 months when you released the first version?
So 6 months after the prototype was built. So we built a prototype, we took a look at it, we valued, can it do the things that we wanted to do? And we decided, yes, that's possible. We built it, finalized the first version, and then we released it out for a beta test. It's been in beta for around 3.5 years after that. So there's been lots of activity and versions that's been released since, and it's been through a number of UI, UX iterations by different companies. So yeah, it's taken us a long time to get to where we are today. But I think today we have a tested, customer validated platform that is priced correctly, and we feel at so much value to you as a business that it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. And I noticed one thing that you mentioned, that the first version was the Windows application. So was it like a exe file which your customer has to download and install, or was it like on the browser? How was it structured?
Yeah, so it was a Windows application. So the way that we distributed that was a Windows installer that would install the Windows application, and then you would execute it. And when we then had an update, you needed to then apply that update. So it wasn't very efficient. It was labor intensive in that sense. And we did recognize that in order to make it efficient for release management for customers and eliminate them spending their time, we had to move to SaaS.
Yeah.
So within 18 months from the first prototype that been released to market, we put all the efforts into making the application a SaaS-based application, and yeah, that's been our main focus. So everything we do that is micro SME business related is SaaS-based.
Perfect. And currently, I'm guessing that you also have, you not just have the application on the browser, but you also have iOS and Android applications, right?
Yeah, so you can use the application from any devices. It is adaptive to different screen formats, etc. So it is web browser based. We don't have an iOS app, and we don't have an Android app, because we don't really see a need for having an app as such. Everything is dynamically adjusting to the screen, and it looks absolutely fine. You have the same menu structure. you can easily find access and to your different contacts. You have the same links, so you don't have to learn a new thing, and we don't have to maintain multiple different versions of applications. And I think that it just makes it a lot more cost efficient for us than we can bring on to the customer.
Indeed. Makes sense. Okay, great stuff. I mean, for some businesses, you don't need application at all because your end customer is using it mostly on the browser. So why to invest, your efforts into that? So that's good. That's good. Tell me more about your ICP. So who is your target customer profile, and when you go out to do outbound marketing, what is your primary criteria to look for them?
So what we're looking for is we're looking for micro and SMEs that either are just entering the markets, or they've just been a one-man band or a very small business for many years. And they haven't really had the time to invest or build up platforms that they can lean up against. So we're targeting those because a lot of the things that we can add in value is very quick. It's very simple. And when they start to use it, they are very positive. And it just makes their day so much easier. So we see a lot of those businesses, it adds value to them very, very quickly. So that's our target. And we can't afford to have, a lot of salespeople selling this because there isn't that much money in the monthly fee that we charge. So the only way we can take this to market really is the word of mouth approach. And that's slowly happening today. I think with our additional tools that we bring in, so we kind of having integrations to lead finding platforms that feed Jeffrey, then the automated engagements that go and work these leads automatically and tells the salesperson when to go close the deal. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of loops that we are building today. So we kind of go 360 degrees in terms of the value that we can add to a small business. So instead of him selling, the platform will take his lead, 50 to 75% of that journey, and he can focus on getting money from the actual work.
Indeed. Yeah, that makes sense. So you mentioned that you're doing the integration. What platforms you are integrated now, and what is the future for the more integration?
Yeah, so today we integrate with your Office 365 email. So we read and auto reply to your emails. So JeffreyAI will analyze each email that comes in and see if it can apply for you on your behalf. That perhaps send a price list or, respond to an inquiry. Integrate with Google email. And then we integrate to LinkedIn. So we can send messages via our engagement to LinkedIn automatically. We also do lead forensic. So on your website, it will then capture company information of who is visiting your website or your different landing pages. That automatically feeds into JeffreyAI, and the engagement will pick up from that as well. And then we integrate to Zapier, which allows thousands of other apps to integrate with JeffreyAI in any way that other businesses see fit. We're working today on ChatGPT, so that's due to come within the next 4 weeks. And then we are integrating to other content AI providers that'll help, generate your newsletter for you, or generate your graphical material that you wanna put on an email that you're sending out. So there's a lot of different things that we're doing, which is helping you automate more and more of the sales process. And end of the day, our ambition is to cover that 360. So anything that you are doing in sales today will be covered by automation and artificial intelligence. The only thing you need to do as a business owner is go shake the hand, sign the contract, look each other in the eye to make sure that you can deliver and the customer can see the person who's delivering it to you.
Yeah. That's the must, isn't it? Great stuff. So let's talk about you and your co-founder. Tell us, our listeners, more about you. What was your journey until JeffreyAI? Some ups and downs, because what happens is a lot of people, especially during the pandemic, we had wave of founders coming into the entrepreneurship journey, connecting with each other, talking about the ideas. And now slowly, when I go to Central London and I host a lot of networking events there, I see that it's depreciating. In a different way, I wouldn't say that it's depreciating from 100% to 50%. It's going slow, but I see more and more startups coming around, not in the SaaS space, but in physical space, for example, cosmetics or manufacturing, etc., because they are more intent to get funding, easily. Whereas I'm myself an enthusiast about SaaS product and SaaS space, so I always look for these SaaS products coming into the market. So tell me about you. What was your background before starting JeffreyAI, and when you what is helping from that experience to run day-to-day activities in JeffreyAI?
Sure. I started with my education within trade and finance. So that was the basis of me learning how business operates and about the complexities within that. I set up my first accounting practice when I was 18 years old, and I had to buy my accounting package, which allowed me to then do bookkeeping for other businesses. And I remember the start was one retail shop that said, "Well, we want to change our accounting. Do you want to help us out?" And I accepted that challenge. So that was kind of my first introduction to working with enterprise software systems and accounting software packages. And I stuck with that. I ran my accounting practice for around 9 years, and then I moved full time into being functional consulting within delivering ERP systems to businesses, focusing on finance and yeah. So moving on from that, that's what I've done since. I still do that today.
Yeah,
Done it for 25 years now, and that's my skill. That is what allowed me to set up my business. So I took my skill, my strongest skill, I set it up as a business and just keep working my skill. And that have allowed me to then take steps into other areas that I otherwise wouldn't have been able to. So when you take on your first employee, for example, that's a big obligation. You need to start paying salary now. You need to consider that they're going on holiday. They might have a sick day here and there, but suddenly that responsibility grows, and your first employee is a big step forward, because then you might also need an office. And all these things kind of just follow step by step. And as a small business, that's a big challenge. But I think I was more afraid of it than I should have been, because once I started to get these people in, things started to move a lot faster. And that naturally then started to automatically mean more business. So the growth came with the staff, but it's a little bit like the chicken and the egg. Where do you start? And as a person responsible for your own economy, you always want to de-risk how you approach this. So if you're not getting funding from someone else or other people's money to grow your business, then I think you're a lot more fearful to do it. And that's what I like about being bootstrapped. You very much focus on that balance. However, you slow down a lot more to make sure you don't step wrong. And that has its benefits and its negativity. There are some very, very successful people out there that's been bootstrapped and have done amazing stuff, build billion-dollar businesses. So it's definitely possible. But I think for me, it's just focusing on the skills I'm good at, grow from there, take a few risks, expand slowly, and making sure that, grow organically. You need to make sure your business is following that.
Perfect. Cool. So for example, if you go in front of a magical mirror today and you see yourself 22 years old, younger, what advice would you give to yourself or our listeners based on this experience?
I think if I look back, I would say sometimes the risks that I've taken maybe had been a little bit too much. And then do your due diligence in terms of when you engage in partnerships or when you are engaging in contracts. Do your due diligence, making sure that you do as much as you possibly can to eliminate any risk that you take when you grow your business. There's a lot of bad intentions out in the market, and if you're not careful, you can end up with the wrong people in your business. So make sure you always prepare yourself for who you engage with. And that will help you just eliminate some of the things that will happen to you in your future. So that's would be my advice if I was talking to myself 20 years back, doing your due diligence a little bit better, Jimmy.
Perfect. Awesome. Great. Okay, so we should wrap up now. We are going to go into our lightning round, and I've got 6 quick fire questions for you. So just try to answer them as quickly as you can. You ready?
Go on.
Great. Okay. Number 1, what's one of the best piece of business advice you have received?
The best business advice I've ever received is just keep trying. I think, as I said, the quote initially, keep failing until you succeed. I think someone said, just keep trying. Eventually it'll happen. You're a small child, you start to bicycle, you keep falling, keep trying. That's what I tell my own son.
Persistence. Yeah, great. Really like that. Good. What book would you recommend to our audience and why?
I am not too much of a book reader, to be honest. So I did read a book of the 4 Hour Body from I can't remember his name, but the book is all about how can you improve your life? How can you improve yourself by losing weight, live a little bit better? And the 4 Hour Body is a 700-page book, which kind of goes a little bit deep into the type of new medicine that you can take just to feel better, not age too fast. And I think that's been a good learning. Try to keep healthy while also maintaining a professional focus.
Okay, so what is it called again? 4 hours.
4 Hour Body.
4 Hour Body. Okay, great. So now add this into my reading list now. Right, next. What's your favorite personal productivity tool or habit?
The productivity tool, I think that's probably my spreadsheet. I have to be honest. It's my spreadsheet. It's where I keep everything that has a cost or an impact on my business. It's where I take my decisions of what investments I need to make. It's where I take decisions on what employees I can afford to hire. So everything I do is, forecasted based on cash in, cash out over the next 12 months. And I keep that up to date pretty much every day because it changes every day. I do have a finance package that I use as well, but it doesn't give me that kind of information easily. So the spreadsheet for me is the best productivity tool to manage my cash flow.
Great. What's a new or crazy business idea you would love to pursue if you had the time?
It would be manufacturing semiconductors or chips. I think the European market and the UK, US is not strong enough. And recently the European Union provided a grant of, I think it was 60 billion euros into semiconductors, chip manufacturing companies to help boost our capabilities. And I think simply because we're too dependent on others, we need to take more control of that. So if I had the time, I would find a student who was studying this topic, and I would help set them up with a business, find the funding, and then make a successful semiconductor or chip manufacturing business.
That's a great idea. I mean, if there's a lot of 60 billion euros, a lot of money. If that's available, then why not? That's great. And last, what's an interesting or fun fact about you that most people don't know? What's one of your most important passions outside your work?
that is not an easy question to answer. I think most people either don't share that with other people. uh, for me, it is. I really like to spend the time on the toilet by myself.
Wow. Okay.
And I think that's due to that's my personal time,
Mhm.
and that's where I take a lot of decisions.
Mm.
It's at the toilet because nobody's bugging me with questions. There's no dad calling, or maybe once in a while there's a dad calling. Say, my daughter saying, "I'm hungry," but it's what I get most of the time. So that's a bit of a fun
Yeah.
fact for me. I take my decisions at the toilet.
Great. Well, thank you, Jimmy. Thank you so much for joining me and sharing your story, unpacking the last years of building this business and some of the ups and downs along the way. So, if people wants to check out Jeffrey AI, they can go to jeffreyai.com. Is that correct?
Yes, visit the website. There's a link to log in and create a free account, giving you a
Mhm.
30-day free trial. And for the medium subscription, it's around $19 per user per month. So
Mhm.
it's it's not that expensive. Couple of
Indeed.
couple of beers to your friends in the Apple system, really. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And if folks want to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
I think if they have more questions or just wanna engage, then LinkedIn is a good option. They can follow me on LinkedIn. They're
Okay.
more than welcome to ping me a message. And of course, they can also contact me via our company. Um, we have our call center that'll put people who wants to talk to me, um, and they'll connect with me. So there's different ways. I think probably LinkedIn is the best approach if you want to engage with me.
Perfect. Well, thanks again, Jimmy, and I really appreciate your time to be on the show.
Thank you very much for inviting me, Ash. Have a great day.
Thank you all for tuning in to this episode of our SaaS Stories podcast. I hope you found our conversation with Jimmy insightful and inspiring. If you are a founder or industry expert interested in sharing your story on our SaaS podcast, please don't hesitate to reach out. Simply email me at ash@artcircles.com and let's connect for a potential interview opportunity. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you subscribe to our podcast and stay updated on future interviews with proven founders and industry experts. We have a lineup of incredible guests and valuable insights coming your way. Stay inspired, stay motivated, and keep building.